Hey, my name is Scott Sallow, along with
Olympian Todd Williams.
We are here for another exciting edition of Coach's Corner, Level Up Studio here at the LevelUp Training Center.
Looking forward to bringing the best to the podcast.
Hey, grab a cup of coffee, sit back and relax as we bring you another great episode starting now. And we are back, folks. Another exciting edition of
Coach's Corner.
Coach's Corner. Let me just tell you, I don't know about you. Is this not the greatest show in Monroe County?
I think it is.
I mean,
it's the only show in town.
It's the only show in town, and I tell you what, is there a better place to do it than right here at LevelUp Studios, right here?
I'm glad it's here.
I mean, come on, let's go. And I'll take it a step further. Our guest today, I mean, you talk about athletics in Monroe County. It starts and ends with this guy right here.
100%. I mean, anytime you talk about where can I go to train, where can I go to get involved in athletics, right here at LevelUp.
And if you haven't been, folks, we're going to get to it throughout the show. If you haven't been to LevelUp, you're missing out, folks. I tell you what, something for everyone. In fact, I think that should be the slogan, John. Something for everyone. Level up. Let's go. John Carrabino, folks. Welcome to the big show.
What's up, guys?
Ready to go. All right, now, people, so we got to walk through.
Watch it. He gets super excited. You got to watch him.
He's
He's
get all jacked up. It's
I
corner.
know. Plus that coffee. All right, keep going. Go.
So we're going to lay the groundwork here, right, John? So we're going to go back to yesteryear, right? We're going to get to all of the level up stuff here, but walk us through like early days athletic stuff that you were involved in as far as athletics kind of growing up. Walk us through your early years.
Oh, early years. I grew up as a kid just kind of always playing something. You know, me and my friends grew up in the neighborhood. We were part of that generation of kids that when you got home from school, first thing you did was hop on a bike.
Yeah.
Driving through the neighborhood, getting into a little trouble. But just playing sports however we could. You know, played tackle football in parking lots.
Mm-hmm. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
And I also grew up on a farm, helping out my grandfather and uncle and brothers and all my cousins were out at the Key Line Hog Farm. Oh, yeah. That was a big part of my childhood, being able to go out there, play around, shovel some pig shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Just some hard work, but overall just being able to grow up in an environment like that where we were challenged every day to work hard, but also had the opportunity to play and have fun outside, running through the woods and the creeks and things like that. So
I got to ask, because we had a rivalry in school, like elementary school. What elementary school did you go to?
St. John's.
St. John's. So did you have like a rivalry with another school?
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. So that was like Ohio State, Michigan, man. You get those two schools together.
It was. We used to go at it, basketball, football.
Yeah, that was kind of like the Manor-Custer rivalry. A lot of people compare that to.
It wasn't really a rivalry, but if you want to call it that.
Did we dominate?
No.
Anyway,
back to the guests.
So sports that you were into growing up. I know you said you're doing your dabbling on the farm, and I know your family's really big into athletics. But some of the early sports that you got interested in, hooked on.
I tried a lot of them, played them all, but really got into football, CYO days, and basketball. Played football baseball until 7th grade, but then I just figured out I was pretty fast, and baseball was kind of boring. So when I actually transferred to Cantrick in 8th grade.
Okay.
And that's where I started to run track and field. Just kind of kept with that all through high school afterwards. But my big three in high school were football, basketball, and track and field.
So show's called Coach's Corner. So think back in your early days of athletics, what coach sticks out first that you're like, man, this guy's really helping me out. Big impact.
Honestly, just kind of branching off of what I just talked about my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't really a coach, but he kind of was. Because we got to watch him work every day was my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
I think just being, thinking back on it, raising pigs and doing that kind of work out on the farm was my favorite thing back then.
Yeah.
But getting to watch him work every day, doing something he loves and kind of lead by example really shaped me into what I do today. And, then kind of branching off that, seeing my parents, and in particular my dad working a swing shift. He was just a really hard worker, went after it every day. They inspired me, and a lot of my coaching qualities come from them. But then the big coaches in my career come to mind. We all have good ones. We have bad ones that shape us, and they're both good things.
Yeah.
But the really great ones that I had were Coach Greg Hudkins, my varsity year at Monroe High.
Yeah.
He laid a foundation that really prepped me for college. So when I got to college, it was I had already been through it. The scouting reports,
awesome.
attention to detail. I mean, he had us tuck our shirts in. We all had to clap on.
Oh, yeah.
It was very,
You know, that's our classmate, right? That's our high
Actually,
school
Greg and
classmate.
I went to kindergarten all the way through with Coach
That's our
Huckins.
guy right there.
Yeah, so
That's
he used
good.
to come. Yeah, that's
We always try to
lot of
mention his
memories.
name once on the show.
Yeah.
yeah. So to this day, he just was a great coach that, you know, he made you want to play hard for him. And I mean, I can't ever remember once in my life, I think, talking back to Coach Huckins.
Yeah.
He just had that father figure about him. And,
Very cool.
you know, then kind of going on into college, I had part of why I love coaching is because I just had a very lack of consistency in coaching at the college level. I went through a lot of different head coaches, position coaches. Coach Alex Bailey was my first wide receiver coach. He now is a coach over at Vanderbilt.
Really?
And he kind of he taught me everything I knew at the wide receiver position. He just had a big impact. I mean, he was one of the first coaches that taught me how to do something, but really showed me too. He still had the skill set, and he was able to show us how to run the routes, how to do different things like that. My first ever collegiate strength and conditioning coach, Chad Wagner at the University of Findlay. Super hard-nosed, tough guy, and up until that point, I'd never been a part of a real structured strength and conditioning program. And he ran a tight ship. He pushed us hard, and I learned a lot of the organizational strategies behind strength and conditioning systematically that, you know, I just wasn't aware of until I got there, so that had a huge impact on me. And then kind of the last one comes to mind was Jack Jarmo. He was the first coach that I got to coach under over at CC. So out of high school, I immediately started working with kids, training them, and had the opportunity to go coach at CC. And just the way that he does things, and he sticks to his guns, it's his way.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the most efficient way, and he's going to do it. And being able to see him set that standard and coach that was just a big part of my development as a coach. So I'm thankful for all those guys.
Right.
And there's many coaches out there that I can't mention. You know, we could talk about that for a whole session, but.
And that's part why we got involved in this podcast was those coaches, and it's important because you mentioned the coaches that certainly you look back and maybe your favorites and taught you some life lessons, but also those ones that didn't go so well, because now in your world now you know what not to do or how they treated you or what they said. So I think equally as important as far as just building that foundation of what you want to do, moving forward. I think that's important.
You know, and going back to Coach Huckins, you know, one of the first things you said about Coach Huckins is, you know, not talking back, the discipline, the structure, tucking your shirt in. It seems like now more than ever, like how kids react to that now, but that's a super important thing. Having that structure, having that feedback, having that constructive criticism. I tell my athletes that I coach all the time, it's like, today I just posted something on Facebook. I said, are you really doing everything every day to be the best you can be, or are you just posting about it? Because there's a lot of people that need that coach that shoots it straight. They're not really, you know, they're not degrading, but they're just letting you know. And it sounds like from the day one with the Coach Huckins making an impact, that was one of the attributes he kind of passed on to you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've talked about it with my student athletes that, you know, the kind of what Todd was saying. So, you know, 3 to 5, we would typically have our baseball practice, you know, but what happens at 5:01? I mean, if you're just counting on those 2 hours to be everything that you want to be, you're selling yourself short, because the hard work happens at 5:01. I mean, to think that Todd's done with his 2-hour workout and nothing else happens in the 22 hours, we'd be fooling ourselves, right? So what happens at 5:01, and that's the difference maker for us, right? Yeah. It's going home and say, you know what? I got to work on my bunt execution, or I got to work on hitting my cutoff, or whatever it may be with whatever sport. But
it's the 90%.
Yeah.
That's what I try to talk to the kids about a lot, is you get kids kind of wrapped up in the 10%. It's their practice or their game and things like that. And, you know, we could get into this more in the future, but there's ways that we can improve even when we're sitting down, right? There's so many ways to get better throughout the 90% of your day that can impact not just physically but mentally your game and things like that, and getting an athlete to understand that. And, you know, it's always athletes that put in that extra work that wants to stand out.
And that's a lot of training out here. You know, I think about like Noah Boudry, some of the athletes that you've helped in the off season, and that's sort of, you know, we always preach about this. The best athletes, the off season is the on season, right? You know, you watch some of the documentaries with like Stephen Curry. As soon as they won the world championship, there's like 1 day off, and he's already back doing the same fundamental drills over and over. Talk a little bit about like some of the athletes that you've worked with in the quote unquote off season, that, you know, how advanced they were because they did work on that off season.
Well, you know, being in here over the years and just seeing all the athletes come in and out of the doors, it's not just athletes I've worked with. It's just the hardest workers in the room are going to be the ones who stand out and we see succeed on game day. We see them in the papers, and, you know, ones that stand out just as, first off, that I have worked with are the Noah Boudrys. You know, you think of Ellie Sealer, Olivia Bussell, Stephen Umphris was a great athlete that I had the ability to work with, and then he ended up coaching with me, and now he coaches over at Madonna. Then, and got Noah Miller over at University of Michigan. I mean, these kids are in here. They're finishing their practice. They're coming in before practice. They're staying after practice. They're coming in on their off days. They're getting extra swings. The list goes on and on of those kind of athletes, but seeing them come through the door, and it's those athletes that will separate themselves from everybody else who's just going to come to practice, and do the bare minimum. And it's just awesome that we have this available to the youth of the community to take advantage of and come in here and put in that work. And the ones who do are usually those studs that are out there.
Let's say someone that's watching, looking at Level Up for the first time, what exactly do you do? What programs do you offer? What things can, let's say an 8th grader that wants to come in just for speed and agility, whatever programs you offer, talk a little bit about that.
Well, it varies throughout the year, but I offer the sports performance training here. It's movement-based. We evaluate through slow motion video how do you move, and we improve the way that you move from there, get strong and good, healthy movement patterns. We offer anything from camps, clinics, club sports programs. Right now we have 8 volleyball teams, I think, 3 baseball, 1 softball, but we're growing our club programs. We have just day passes. I mean, if there's ever, and that was a big thing for me when I got in here, is I just wanted to give a way that kids can come in here and just work, and get better. And it's $8 if we have open availability. Kids can come in, pay $8, put up shots all day, go out. It's hard during the indoor season.
Right.
We got to bring in as much as we can and fill our space. But whenever we do have available space, we want kids in here doing something with it. So there's just so many ways to get better here, and there really is something for everyone. We try to offer different clinics, camps throughout the year that are more, lower priced, I guess. We offer leagues. There's something to do for everybody, and it's up to the athletes to take advantage.
And pretty much every sport. I mean, you have basketball, volleyball, all the training that you have for all athletes. Because I have a parent, contact me like, hey, we'd love for you to work with my, they don't want to play a spring sport, but they're getting ready for football. And, I don't, this is the first play. I'm like, go there, because this is going to be something you get consistent with. And that's what you're going to have to do. Again, back to the off season being the on season, this is a great place to come to practice your speed agility, do private lessons, get faster for the football season. And that's the thing I look at when anybody asks me, Monroe, it's like, where can we go? It's like, there's options here. Because I hate when people will say, Monroe really doesn't have that much to offer. Well, there's a lot to offer.
Gold mine.
But you got to find it. You got to stop complaining. Then you got to work your butt off. Yeah. There's a lot of great resources here, and you're one of them. And this facility is one of them. It just people got to just stop bitching and start working really, really hard.
Yeah. So talk about Todd touched on some of the programs, but talk about your vision here. When did you see yourself doing what you're doing now? I mean, were you high school, college? Say, what? Someday I want to run a facility like this for student athletes. When did it hit you?
Oh, gosh. I talk to my athletes about this all the time, of having a vision, having something in your mind that you want to accomplish. And just
that's right up your alley.
And, my story is everybody's got a story, right? And but mine was full of working hard a lot and kind of being disappointed and big injuries especially in my collegiate career. Actually, as a junior in high school, I snapped my leg in half and I missed all sports. So I missed my entire junior year of all sports right before the football season started. It was tough. I was in a boot and in crutches every day at school. And when I got to college, I was always that guy in the weight room working his butt off, working hard, and just kind of was always let down with injuries. So fresh out of college, I actually started my senior year. I started training myself because I'm like, man, I'm pushing myself in the weight room like crazy, but it was always a hamstring or a groin or a rolled ankle. And going into my senior year, I started doing some research myself, training myself, and kind of figuring out that there was a better way to do the strength and conditioning thing that was kind of the standard. And it was when I started fresh out of college, I wanted to go play ball somewhere. I just wasn't done yet. I felt like I had missed so much sport from injury that I wanted to keep playing. So I was doing the whole thing where I was training and trying to get to another level, whether it be arena, Canadian, something like that, And I went to a place called D1 Training. It was up north somewhere in one of those, I don't know, Birmingham or something like that. I'm not sure where it was, Bloomfield Hills. But I was up there training, and I was like, man, there's places like this, and people do this?
Yeah.
You know, because I just never really been around it like that,
Right.
other than a college weight room.
Right.
And that's where I really got the passion. And I told myself that I just always had a vision from the very start that, you know, I wanted to do this, and I kind of exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
And, but it was always in the forefront of my mind. I wanted to have my own spot. I wanted to create my own programming. I wanted to become a great coach that's known for being good at what he does. And I just had this big vision and kept it in the front of my mind no matter what. You know.
So what going forward now, and you've been here a number of years now, what's the future look like for Level Up? In a perfect world, you have magic wand, what would you want this place to look like for Monroe County?
Oh, man. I mean, I love this place. I love everything about it. I love what we're doing. I think everything that we're doing, I just want to keep growing it, keep it busy, and keep expanding, keep upgrading the things that we have, finding more ways to get my knowledge to the community is just a big piece of it.
Yeah.
You know, I love educating and teaching, and one thing that I love doing for the community for free all the time is I'm always putting out education online. I mean, I'm an open book in terms of this is what I teach here,
Yeah.
and I try my best to get the information out there, and I just want to keep impacting the youth of Monroe County and the youth of the world because, you know, we all teach great things to athletes and pass on our knowledge to them, and that's why we coach. We love what we do, and I just want to help athletes not have to go through what I went through. I want to give them the knowledge that I learned late, and
Yeah.
that's my goal. It's my driving passion is to pass on my knowledge to as many people as I can, and hopefully I can help a good amount of them.
Nice.
Yeah, so Todd and I've similar but different. We've both used social media platforms to talk about what we do. For me, it's a school system or baseball, or whatever. And Todd with jiu-jitsu, and I love reading his posts. If somebody had a new accomplishment, or here's a speaker we have coming in, or here's a turnout, and so when we've said this, in Monroe, such a proud community, and all of us have grown up here. So many cool stories, and to know that a facility like this, I mean, it's like, I feel like it's part of Coach's Corner is us telling the story of all the great people that are doing great things for our kids. And it's been we've only been doing this for a few weeks now, but such a blast just getting to know the guests. It's like, man, people just have a heart for helping our student athletes and our kids. And, we walk in this morning to do the podcast, and you've got a facility full of kids running around with their moms and dads and just having a blast. It's like, this is what you and I grew up with.
Yeah.
That was that neighborhood football game you had in the parking lot. That was our life. You stayed out until the street lights came on. You're playing a pickup game of some sort, basketball, football, baseball, somewhere. And man, to have a facility like this right here in our back pocket, it's like unbelievable. If you haven't been here, folks, I don't know if they come in and just get a tour. They need to see it, and they'll be hooked.
And that's the thing too, and it's good for your health. It's good for your mind. It's good for your body. If you come here and just do something physical, again, people that complain about there's nothing to do, you see it online, there's nothing to do. Well, this is something to do that's healthy. Yeah. It's not something that's going to be just going to, you're going to educate from the nutrition side. You're going to give them advice. You have staff that's just going to make their life better. And, I think some people are looking for things that are just, it's not going to help you anyway, mentally and physically healthy. I mean, and this is one of those places you can go to. So thinking about like a hypothetical, if my buddy's kid comes in here for the first time and he's looking, starting the football season, and when they start in August for the season kicks off, probably September, August, he's coming in and starting now. What would be when he walks in the door and he's going into 10th grade? What would be programs that you would offer this individual?
Well, first off, for quite a few sports, we have individual coaches that coach lessons. So for volleyball, we got Coach Carrie Hanna-Michael. We have Coach Chloe. You can call in, and whatever your sport is, you can say, hey, we want to get better at this sport, and we have a coach that might teach you that skill and set up some lessons with you, things like that. So that's one of the first things that, I want people to know is that, and we're trying to build this as we go. I get some phone calls from people that might teach hitting lessons or pitching, things like that. We want to have a nice outreach to coaches that want to provide that kind of service here. Next with that is if you're looking to train with me and do the sports performance side of the thing or of training, get faster, stronger, prevent injury, things like that. I offer different classes throughout the season. We just got finished with our club season, which is a busy time where we got our club athletes coming in the evenings. I do evaluations, educational sessions, where I'll break down the running gait, break down the way that an athlete moves, and kind of educate on this is how we're going to get them better from point A to point B. Do one-on-one lessons. I have the ability to train athletes remotely with an online program. And I have openings right now that I'm getting ready to advertise for the spring for small group training. A group of athletes come in together, and kids like to work out with people that they know. So if an athlete wants to sign up with a couple buddies or a couple friends, I do group training time slots. And then we're probably just going to offer some more classes. Right now I'm kind of in that in-between where we just got done with winter and we're getting ready to put out our spring stuff. So
would it be like a 1 hour private speed agility? Would it, would that 10, like a 10 class package with a semi-privates?
Yeah, so our training classes usually are 2 or 3 times a week. Offering anything from 4 to 8 weeks usually is like a training block. But really, it depends on the age of the athlete. I like to start people out with an educational session and an assessment. It's just a huge piece of the process here is getting an athlete and the parents also to understand. This is a talk in itself, but the way that I train here is unique. It's a lot different than your traditional strength and conditioning. But it's all about, hey, this is how the athlete moves. These are what causes the issues in the movement, and here's how we can fix them. And it starts with that assessment piece. So I'd say the best way to get going here, especially if you're a serious athlete or a serious person looking to commit yourself to training, it would be come in here, get some education, get an assessment. And that's an appointment-based thing with me.
So certain hours, certain days that you're not open, or is it pretty much open all the time, Monday through Friday, weekends? Talk about your hours here.
We're running operations here right now throughout the weekend, but as the season changes, it'll start varying.
Right.
We put that out on the website and on the Facebook. We change our hours.
Okay.
But as we get into spring and summer, it'll be a little bit more limited, especially on the weekends. But we try to stay open throughout the summer, whether we have things going on or not, for those day pass type athletes and things like that.
So biggest piece of advice, you mentioned some of the coaches influential in high school, college, Coach Hudkins and others through your college days. A piece of advice that stuck with you to this day that you say, you know what, I want my athletes to remember this same thing, or this piece of advice that you've carried with you.
Something, this just came to mind right away, is something I say to my class all the time. They kind of laugh at me, but I say, today's a great day to be great.
Yeah,
and
I like it.
I think that there's a lot of athletes out there who lack the confidence and belief that they can do something that is out of the ordinary or out of the norm, and maybe they're afraid to get out of their box or get out of their shell, and whether it's expressing themselves or chasing something that they feel like they can't get, right? And every day is just an opportunity to do something great and believe in yourself that you can do it. I get a kind of a stigma here because we teach the greatest of all time actions is what we say, but by no means do I ever expect an athlete to be the greatest athlete in the world, right? I try to pull out the best potential that athlete can reach and let them know that as a coach, I believe in them, but they got to believe in themselves as well. They have to believe that they can achieve things that they may be afraid to go after and things like that. And that's just some advice that it took me a while to figure that out myself as an athlete, is that, you can do the things that you set yourself out to, and you can do it. You just have to believe in yourself first.
I think that's a huge part of the puzzle too. It's like when you get into a environment like this, you're surrounding yourself with people that are starting to get that mindset, because there's so many people that are negative. There's so many people that say you can't do it. At least that used to drive me. Maybe they weren't saying it, but in my head, I'd let that get in, like, but then that would drive me, like, oh, you don't think I can do it? Then I'd work a little bit harder. But then again, I've talked about this on most of the shows. We've talked about this. Is like, you are the 5 people you hang out with the most. So, if you're coming right from school right to here, and it's like you're always trying to, to use the name, always trying to level up, that's what's going to happen. Surround yourself with good coaches, surround yourself with good training partners, good workout partners. Nothing else is going to happen. Even thinking about like Dundee Wrestling. I mean, think about that program is because they changed the culture, and now the expectations isn't just to make the team, it's to be a state champ. So it's setting that bar higher. So you have to be and put yourself in positions like places like LevelUp and coaches like you to have that belief.
Oh, I love it. What next step? What's on the horizon for LevelUp?
Something that I've been talking about doing in the future is I kind of want to be a hub for different kinds of coaching clinics, educational seminars,
cool.
things like that. Bring in a lot of coaches from all over.
You do that now. You're jiu-jitsu, right?
I mean, that's something I've seen you do online. I wonder how you do it. I'd like to pick your brain about that.
Okay, yeah.
But have educational seminars. I've got coaches from. It's the power of social media is awesome, in that for every coach from around here that doesn't want to learn what I offer, I've got coaches all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question. No question.
To be able to house something here, like a big type of event like that with like-minded individuals, I'm into the natural natural footwear, natural nutrition, movement, all that kind of stuff, and be able to give the community the opportunity to participate in something great like that and learn from some of the greatest minds.
Yeah. And it's really just reaching. I mean, over the years, I've been blessed to meet a lot of people through my Olympic days and running, and then my jiu-jitsu. But it's really just the communication. Like I've reached out to some world champions just by direct messaging on Instagram and said, hey, would you be interested in coming into Monroe and doing a 2-hour clinic? And then, of course, you're going to have the fees involved and so on. But usually that's going to be offset by people coming into Level Up and paying a $50, whatever it is, to listen to a great speaker, to listen to that 2-hour educational seminar. So there's so many people that want to help. You just got to make the call. Yeah. You know, I think we've had 8 world champions now, you know, at Monroe Jiu-Jitsu, and with your outreach, just put it on the calendar and then promote it. And there's so many people that want that information. Just like if you had a baseball seminar, you know, you've got connections to bring people in, right, and people want to hear it. Yeah. You know?
There's definitely a following there. Mm-hmm. So what you know, the future looks, you know, positive here. Level Up. How'd you come up with the name?
It's a funny story, but you know, when I was a kid, I don't really idolize athletes that much. You know, I was into Ninja Turtles and things like that, and Pokemon.
Did you have a Todd Williams poster growing up?
No, I didn't.
We have to ask that on every show.
I didn't.
That's another no, by the way.
But I was laying in my bed and I came up with the idea, you know, I wanted to offer some kind of sports training at the YMCA. Yeah. And I was playing at the time. I had figured out how to get Pokemon on my cell phone. And I was just playing that. I'm sitting here. I'm like, man, I got this Squirtle and I leveled him up. Now he's a War Turtle. And I kept training, going around fighting and battling and traveling. And now he's Blastoise. And I was like, man, level up. Like,
Pokemon.
I would have never guessed that.
Didn't that come up the other day? With Ryan, he was wrestling somebody or fighting somebody with a Pokemon shirt on or something. Remember? Who was that?
I don't know.
It was Pete. Pete was his first wrestling tournament.
Oh, that's right.
That?
Yeah, he did have the Pokemon.
It's all things Pokemon. That's what we do on
Still
Coach's
got that
Corner.
shirt. I think he's got it on right now.
Yeah, he wrestled the
He's
kid for
staying off
state
camera.
championship in Dundee, I think. Yeah.
But, you know, that's kind of where the concept came from. And then,
I like that. That's good.
And I try to apply that. I try to apply that concept to everything I do in my life. It's always find a way to do something better.
It fits, man.
But like he said, I would have never guessed that's how he came.
No, I would
have thought he got up one morning and says, "You know what?
I'm level up today." Speaking of level up, no pressure, John. No pressure. But Todd and I we would look pretty good in some level up gear.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just noticing the court.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. I like it.
Get you some for
sure. We got to pump this bad boy up a little bit. This is good stuff. John Carrabino. Any parting thoughts? Anything you want to share to the folks out there about Level Up or services provided? Because we got a ton of people watching the show, especially after today. This place is going to blow up, man.
You know, just look out for what we got coming in the spring, the summer. We got some different leagues coming up. We got football. I know going later into the spring, summer, we're going to do some youth basketball leagues, things like that. Look out for that. I'm going to have all my summer training and spring training programs out there, and just reach out directly to me for any questions. And
as far as age group, what is it? All ages?
You know, getting really into the nitty gritty of training. I like to start in athletes around like sixth grade, but I'm not saying nitty gritty in terms of like all hardcore training. I'm saying of being able to educate and say, hey, here's how we can get better. It's around that age. You know, I'll work with any. You know, I just started working out with my daughter. She's 4.
I love it.
You know, I love it, but it's just such a different.
Yeah.
The ages, you know, and I like working with everybody. I train athletes as young as my daughter, all the way to, you know, I got a group of 60-year-olds that meet me every morning at 5:30. So I like working with everybody. But for the athletes, I'd say the best time to start would be around that 6th grade age. But the knowledge that I teach, you know, it's really the parents that I want to get to, because there's things that we can do that can help our kids be healthier movers for a lifetime, and it starts the moment they're born. There's a lot of knowledge out there, and this is what I'm into, what I teach, from the shoes that they wear to the way that they rest. There's so many ways that we can help them become and set them up for more success as they age and grow older, and it's those early years that are really important. So I'd say working with the athletes, it's around that elementary, middle school age, but the education for the parents, I'm interested in helping people now, you know, as early as I can.
And all that information is going to be at what's your platforms? You have website,
Facebook, and all that.
Yeah, levelupmonroe.com. We're on Facebook. We're active on Facebook with all of our posts and Instagram, all that stuff.
Yeah,
and all the programs are on there as far as information and the sports that you. Awesome. That's good stuff.
John Carrabino, level up. Let's go to work.
Doing a fantastic job.
Keep up the great work, man.
Keep
Giving
up the
back to
awesome
Monroe
work.
County. Hidden gem right here in the heart of the city. Good stuff, man.
Good stuff.
Another exciting edition of
Coach's Corner.